Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. I want to take this time to shout out Redline Shipping. They are the #1 fastest growing reptile and animal shipping company in the world right now, and that is for good reason. Use promo code GECKO5 today at checkout for an additional $5 off your shipping label. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Leopard Geckos in the Hobby podcast with your host, myself, Frank, from Geeky Gecko Creations. I'm in the kitchen just for this 1 second because I'm super hungry and need to cook a hamburger. My wife came home from work and her car needed to be jumped. There's something going on with it, so I was looking at it with her and didn't get to get my hamburger in before stream. So Denise Ray's got a cool idea where we're going to co-host some OG breeders and do some live streams with them. Jennifer Howell, how's everything going? I was just thinking of you, see how the geckos are doing. But good to have you guys here. We're going to get to talking, bring your gecko questions. If this is your first time joining us, thank you very much. We were on a podcast last night where there was 80 people. So if you are thinking about coming over to our Monday night podcast, this is what we do here. So pretty cool gang that we got going on. Grady's Geckos. Yeah, what's going on? You're early. That's awesome. I'm actually just going to heat up a hamburger real quick, but I'm watching the chat here. What we do is basically talk geckos on Monday night. You got me for about an hour and everybody in the chat to talk leopard geckos, the hobby, reptiles, all in general. So I think it's a pretty good time. If you need any feeders or if you need any shipping, you can see the sponsors that we got going on here. Rainbow Mealworms, Redline Shipping, of course, US Arc. If you want to save our hobby and promote the safekeeping of reptiles across America, you could become a member of them. And the Phoenix Reptile Expo and the Reptile Super Show are the next two shows we're going to be at in April, as well as the summer in July and August. So I'm so hungry, guys. I'm sorry. Let me take you with me here, and I'm going to look for. Okay, so a little bit new update on the giveaway. I really wanted to do a raffle for the Black Knight that you saw that I just put up for sale. I wanted to do a raffle for it, and the first prize winner would get the gecko, and the second prize winner would get like $250, and the third prize winner would get $100 gift card. But you guys were right, and I started looking into gambling laws and raffles, and you can't do them on YouTube. YouTube won't allow you to do it, and if you do it, you could potentially lose your channel. And you can't even, technically, you can't even do gambling or you can't even do raffles for animals even outside of YouTube because you have to abide by your state laws. So a lot of people do it. I realize that. But when you are a more well-known, like bigger organization like us, it's really risky to put yourself out there publicly and do it because obviously, there's more eyeballs on you, you know what I mean? So you could more easily get in trouble because of that. So as of right now, unless I find a loophole, I'm talking to an organization that kind of helps support people with raffles, and they suggested I read their page on gambling and raffles and those kinds of things. So I'm going to do that. But if there's a way for me to hold raffles legally, I will absolutely do it. Otherwise, I will just do giveaways. And I can't even do a giveaway and have you go to Patreon to join the raffle. For example, if everybody in my Patreon, and they're paying whatever it is, $5 a month or something like that to be in a raffle a month. If you're paying to be in my Patreon and then I'm doing giveaways, that's the same thing as gambling and raffles, and it gets thrown into that same category. I was doing some research on it. So anyways, needless to say, if you want to do it, you could do it, but technically it is not legal to do that on your own. Otherwise, you have to get like a state gambling license, and that whole process. I have no idea how to go about that whole process. So unfortunately for now, we won't be doing giveaway raffles, but we will probably be doing some giveaways and stuff like that as time goes on. You know what I mean? So I'm still researching it. I'm still trying to figure out how I can provide that service for you guys legally and to be in the clear. But if you guys know anything, let me know. All right, we're gonna heat up that burger. My favorite thing to do for a burger is to toast the bread. You gotta toast the bread with the cheeseburger. Otherwise, it's just not as enjoyable. So Denise's live stream is picking up momentum, though. We got like 700 views on her live stream, so that's real cool. Sorry, I can't look at the comments right now. I'm going to. I've been being super careful with my hands and stuff, and since I always touch reptiles and then touch my phone, I'm making sure I'm not doing that right now. Let's see. As soon as that is done, I'm going to put the burger on the thing. Wash my hands. Actually, let me go set you guys up real quick. Let me set you guys up in... Actually, I don't want to eat in the reptile room. I'm going to eat out here. And then we will move to the reptile room. Oh, I got my coffee. Got my coffee going on. I guess there's really not enough room to eat there. But anyway, how you guys are doing? How are you guys doing? I'm going to look at some of the questions right now as well. And let's see what you guys are saying. Gotta keep your strength. My geckos are doing good. What's going on, ACJ, Facebook user? Franklin, yeah. Yvette, how you doing, Yvette? I said thanks for the super chat on the last live, Yvette. I don't know if you were there for that, so I just want to thank you for that now. The apron. Yeah, you know, okay, so I found a new way to cook burgers that is quicker and kind of safer to me in a way, which is cooking them in the oven. One of the problems with cooking them on the stove is that all of that grease needs to be poured somewhere, like in a jar or something. But when you cook it in the oven on top of aluminum foil, you could just fold up the foil and throw that away. So that's benefit number one. Benefit number two, because an oven is enclosed, it really makes sure that all of your meat is cooking to the best quality. And you know, I was in the hospital last month, probably for undercooked meat or whatever it was, something going on with the chicken. And because of that, now I've been super sensitive to everything that I eat. And so when I'm cooking here at the house, I really want to make sure that everything is like really well prepared, you know? All right, got my burger. So, see how y'all are doing. One question I do have is how long after laying eggs will it take for a female to develop another clutch and drop them? Usually it's 2 to 3 weeks. Man, so when you cook hamburgers on the grill, it burns them a lot of times because the fire, you know, kind of sparks and stuff. But that's another benefit of the oven. It cooks it evenly. And when you cook the burger evenly, it's much more juicy of a burger and cooked all the way through. And there's no pink spots or anything like that compared to when you cook it in, let's see where the lighting's good. Compared to when you cook a burger in, that'll work for now. When you cook a burger on the grill, sometimes there's pink spots and stuff like that because it's hard to cook it evenly, you know? Maybe I'm just not an expert griller, but.
Yeah, toaster oven, that could work. Well, I'm caught up with the questions early for once, guys. So I apologize. I am a little tired today. Maybe it's because I started drinking coffee again. I notice on the days that I don't drink coffee, I don't have crashes. You know what I mean? And on the days that I do drink coffee, I enjoy a nice cup of coffee, because who doesn't like a nice cup of coffee? But I have crashes towards the end of the day, and it makes it more difficult to get through my tasks and everything. This is terrible. You guys are like watching me eat. I'm sorry. Oh, this is actually a great question. Is line breeding in leopard geckos normal? So, yes. To answer your question, the short answer is yes. In the leopard gecko world, many people do line breeding and inbreeding. Many people do line breeding and inbreeding. So line breeding, if you missed our conversation of line breeding on Denise's episode, please check out our last live stream with Denise Ray from the Golden Gecko. We talked about it in more detail. But line breeding is just breeding animals that have similar traits together that aren't related, technically. You know, you don't need, the animals don't need to be related to do that. You know, you could take like a mandarin tangerine gecko that has been bred in the mandarin line and cross it with like an inferno gecko that's been bred in the inferno line. You can cross them, and now that's line breeding. And what you're line breeding for is the trait of color. So line breeding is more trait breeding. You're looking at traits that you want to accentuate in the geckos. Size is a trait you might want to accentuate. Color is a trait you might want to accentuate. And pattern is a trait you might want to accentuate. There's also other things, like Ron Tremper recently spoke about like the curly-tailed geckos and seeing if we could produce curly-tailed geckos. That could be genetic. It could be defective. It could be something that might pop out in a specific line the more you work with that line. You know, so physical appearance is basically what people go for when it comes to line breeding. Taking line breeding a step further is something called inbreeding. And inbreeding heightens the quickness with which you can achieve those traits. Again, we talked about this in Denise's episode. You achieve those traits quicker. You get a blacker gecko quicker. You get a more orange gecko quicker. But the trade-off, there's always a trade-off in life. The trade-off is you're trading time for potentially the quality of the animal. You might get smaller animals over time, animals with birth defects over time, animals that are less fertile over time. So that's why it's like super important that the Black Knight project is outcrossed and Tangerine projects are outcrossed. I can't stress enough how important outcrossing is for those projects so that we can reduce the amount of inbred animals in those specific projects. So like over here, I have a Mandarin fasciolatus line, because that's something that like nobody's started yet that I could see. This year, I'm starting a Mandarin Afghanicus line, because that would be cool. And so what happens if I cross a Mandarin Afghanicus with a Mandarin fasciolatus? That would be pretty cool, right? All of these are different bloodlines and localities of DNA. That would be line breeding, but it wouldn't be inbreeding because the geckos are unrelated. Now, I would be using the same dad, quote unquote, for these projects. So in a way, it's inbreeding. They're related to a certain degree, but usually inbreeding is like direct descendant breeding. So like father to daughter, or mother to son, or sibling to sibling. That would be like inbreeding. If you're breeding like cousin to cousin, Denise would probably have a better explanation of this. I don't know if you would consider that more line breeding or inbreeding, cousin to cousin, but technically cousins are related through either the dad or the mom, right? That's what a cousin is. It's a distant bloodline, but it's still related to your bloodline. So Denise might have some words to say on it. Dude, I'm telling you, look at this. I am never eating fast food again if I could avoid it, because cooking on my own. Okay, so I was huge into fast food before I went to the hospital. It's cheap, it's quick, it's easy, it's delicious, but it always leaves you wanting more. The fats and oils are actually designing your body to be depressed and like to feel like lonely without it, like you're longing for it. You ever like walk past a Burger King and smell that smell? What's the immediate thought that triggers in your head is like, oh, I need to have that, you know? It throws self-control completely out the window. But when I'm cooking my own food, my body is so satisfied that it's okay with just a bowl of spaghetti or a hamburger that I cook on my own. I'm choking here, guys. Going down my windpipe. I have, over the last 2 years, I've never felt better food-wise than when I've been cooking for myself compared to when I was eating fast food. So take that for what it's worth. I think if you can cook on your own, you're going to save money and feel healthier. Jonathan knows. I feed him our homemade spaghetti over here when he comes over to do gecko work and stuff like that. So, hey, Frank, I don't know if you saw my text, but Max Snow Eclipse gets here tomorrow. I'm staying home from school to get her acclimated. Hopefully, she produces a super snow eclipse or some beautiful babies. Do your parents know you're staying home from school to pick up a gecko? That's what I want to know, ACJ. Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of saw your text, but I didn't get to get back to it. I've just been a little bit busy today. Okay, so Denise says, line breeding is related. So that would be then like cousins or distant cousins would be line breeding versus trait breeding, which is for completely different traits, like shorter nose, bigger face. That would be like phenotype trait breeding. So if money was no object, what 3 morphs would you like to start as a project? I love that question. So I'm actually waiting to get into these morphs, and I just saw the forefront of this project right now on Gecko Boa's website. But I would love to get into the Panda Project, which the Panda Project is Black Knight, Snow, and Eclipse, and sometimes Super Snow. You don't necessarily need a Super Snow, but to my knowledge, you need the Eclipse. Now, to be 100% honest, I might like the Super Snow Black Knight more than I like the Super Snow Eclipse Black Knight, because the Eclipse is removing some of the pattern and color saturation, but it removes certain patches of pattern from the animal, giving it a panda look. So the Panda Project, and then I really, really, really want to make a high quality Black Knight cipher. And John from Gecko Boa is already working on this. If you go to his website, he has a male that is for sale right now. That is a Black Knight cross het cipher. That's beautiful. What I'm waiting on is I'm going to make a bunch of money with the geckos that I currently have. And when the time is right, I want to invest in the right male for these projects. So what do I mean by that? Okay, I could buy the Black Knight or the Black Knight cross het cipher right now from John for $800, but it's only a het het cipher, so it would take me a longer period of time to produce the visual version and a high quality visual version of that animal. Compared to if I were to wait a couple of years, because John's ahead of me. Nobody's going to be ahead of John in the Cypher project because John owns the Cypher project. He's the creator of the Cypher project, and nobody is going to be ahead of him. So instead of trying to catch up with John, what I'm going to wait for is the moment that he releases a gecko that is worthy of purchasing in my eyes, even if it's higher dollar value. Bye, hon. So I might have to wait 2 or 3 years to find a high quality Black Knight cipher visual gecko that is very high quality, and it might be like $5,000 to be a male. But whatever the price is, that price is worth it for me to wait around for. And in the meantime, I'll build up my army of Black Knights so I could take that one male and breed it to 50 females or something. You know, that's an exaggerated number. I don't need to breed it that much. I'm just saying, if I build up my Black Knight army, that means at any one moment, I could buy a panda male. I could buy a Black Knight cipher male and pair it to all these girls. And the other option is I could buy a bunch of cheaper hets and start the project that way, but I would have to buy a few of them. I'd have to buy like 5, 6, 7 hets that are all of Black Knight lineage that have all high quality blackness. So the one that he has for sale right now is not high quality blackness. I think it's a generation 1 Black Knight cross, which is okay, but I'm looking for like generation 2 visual Black Knights that are also ciphers, because that will help me to jumpstart the project that much quicker. You know what I mean? And if he doesn't sell those, or he only selectively sells those to certain people, then I'll buy the hets or I'll make my own hets. At that point, my other option is I could take my Black Knight male and I can buy. This is actually what I might wind up doing. Mark my words. This is what I actually might wind up doing. A cipher female right now is about $1,000, which is not bad. So let's just say, hypothetically, John was going to sell a visual Black Knight cipher male for $5,000 that is high quality. I could either buy that male from him 2 to 3 years from now, because that male doesn't exist, or right now I could buy 5 cipher females that are on the market for $1,000 each, and I can start my own Black Knight cipher line and my own Black Knight cipher project. So both of those are okay. But again, I'm in no rush to get into cipher, because here's a little tip for you guys that are getting into leopard geckos. The market value of animals drops very quickly. 2 years ago, the cipher, or even last year, a cipher female was $2,000. Now they're $1,000. Next year, they might be $500. You know what I mean? The value drops very quickly in the leopard gecko world because of how quickly and how prolific leopard geckos are to breed. So if you're looking at this from a financial standpoint and you're on the fence of purchasing a really expensive animal today that's going to put you in the hole and really make you suffer financially, don't do it. Just wait till next year and buy in the project when it's half the price, or save some money and buy into generation 2 next year, and you'll be that much more ahead of the curve. So I hope that makes sense. Those are 2 projects that I'm looking forward to. What would be the third? Denise, help me out, Denise. What would be the third? Ooh, the third is Denise's Black Knight Giant project. That's the third that I want to get into. Line breeding is distant relatives. Okay, well, there you go. Inbreeding is close relatives. Another thing that I really like is the lava project. If you guys follow Extreme Exotics from Canada, she was just posting some pretty cool lava project geckos. Now, I've never seen these geckos in person. And I just got to be honest with you guys. When you see a picture of a gecko online, the breeder could have edited that photo to look any which way they want. And this is common in the leopard gecko hobby. So when you see a photo of a really, really nice gecko, if you're a gecko breeder like myself, you might look at it and be like, maybe that gecko does not look as good in person as the photo is making it to look. Now, even if the person is not purposefully editing the photo, something that happens is, you guys probably experienced this. When you take a picture of your gecko, if you change the angle slightly, if you change the lighting slightly, that could extremely manipulate the color of the photo, of the color of the gecko in the photograph. And so you could say, I'm not editing the photo, but what's really happening is that gecko in the photo does not look like what it looks like in real life. So I have never seen a lava, or I think she calls them like magma or volcano gecko in person, but in the photos they look amazing. And I think that they could look close to that in person, if not exactly like that. And so that's a project that I would like to get into as well from Extreme Exotics, you know. So to safely breed geckos, what Denise does is she'll take a male and breed it to a separate gecko. Then she'll take a female and breed it to another gecko. And then those babies will get bred to other geckos. And then those babies will get bred back to the original geckos that started it all, the original two, male and female. So she does very distant line breeding in that way. I'll be honest with you. I do a little bit more right now. I do a little bit more inbreeding. So, but I'm just careful with it. Every single year, I breed for intensity, and I breed dads back to daughters. I breed moms back to sons, and I'm okay with that to a certain extent. You know, I won't do that too many years in a row. I might do it like 2 to 3 years in a row. Once you hit that 3-year period, that's when you really want to be careful about defects and size problems that might happen. So for me, I do it 3 years. I do it 2 breeding seasons in a row, and then I outcross, if that makes sense. So I'll do I'll do gecko to another gecko, and that produces generation 1s. And then generation 1s, I'll breed back to the parents to create generation 2s. But then generation 2s, I might breed some of those, like the healthiest, the biggest versions of generation 2s. I might breed those back to the parents for 1 more generation, or I will immediately outcross those to a completely different bloodline or something of that sorts. So you just want to do it carefully. And if you, what I tell people is, if you start noticing smaller geckos, tail, like curved tails or overbites or any of those defects that you see with too much inbreeding, at that point you want to start outcrossing, or you want to outcross before it even gets to that point, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But inbreeding is very, very popular in leopard geckos. That's how we got the Black Knight. But unfortunately, with the Black Knight, there was just way too much inbreeding to the point where the geckos became smaller and smaller and smaller over time, to the point where we have what we have today, which is a Black Knight gecko on average is going to be 15 to 20 grams. Well, sometimes other geckos are the same size as Black Knights, but on average, they're going to be a little bit smaller on average, you know? Same thing with the bold stripe. I don't know if you guys know the bold stripe line, but a lot of bold stripe leopard geckos are just a little bit smaller than your average leopard gecko. Why? Because the bold stripe is a very heavily line bred and inbred line. To create those stripes, to go down the animal, it takes many generations of repetitive breeding back to each other. Same thing with tangerine, except tangerine's been outcrossed a little bit more. So you generally see bigger tangerines, but bold stripes are typically smaller. Black knights are typically smaller. Super snows you want to be careful about. If you're breeding super snow to super snow, it's kind of been observed and studied a lot that those geckos will be a little bit more skeletally disformed in a way, and sometimes skinnier, runtier, smaller, just more unhealthy. But if you breed super snow to snow, you should be okay, especially if the lines aren't as related. So Denise, feel free to chime in your thoughts. How did you decide your morph passion to work with? Did you ask this question on Facebook and I told you to come to the live? Somebody asked that on our Facebook group and I said, come to the live. I asked that question. That's a great question. So, hi, honey. The cat's here. Hi, baby. You want to say hi? I would pick her up for you guys, but there is no way this cat is letting me pick her up. No way. She is not a lap cat at all. What? She'll take some petting though. I love when a cat just looks annoyed when you pet it. It's like trying to avoid your contact. So, okay. When you first get into the hobby, a lot of people, including myself, gravitate to snow, super snow, blizzard, and tangerine. But mainly blizzards and snows and super snows because they're cheaper. High quality tangerines are more expensive. And when you're first getting into the hobby, you want something that, number one, catches your eye, and number two, is affordable. And that's what snow and blizzards and Murphy's Patternless are perfect for. They're amazing looking geckos that is striking to a person coming into the hobby who saw a wild type leopard gecko. When you see a wild type leopard gecko that's yellow with black bands, and then you see an all white or gray or patternless animal that has no pattern to it whatsoever, it astounds you as a new keeper, and you really, really want it. And not only do you want it, but it's also affordable. And because those are the cheapest morphs in our hobby. So because it's affordable, most people start with blizzards, Murphy's Patternless, snows, or super snows. And then you move to more higher at like mid-tier attractive geckos, which would be like your tangerines, your white and yellows, your tangerines, your white and yellows. What else, guys? You start moving into more line-bred polygenetic combinations. Albino is another one that people like to start with, but once you make your way to mid-tier, you're working with like tangerines, albino tangerines, white and yellow, eclipse, and then once you move into the top tier, you're looking at combinations of all of those and the best of the best quality. So you're looking at albino, tangerine, eclipse, like snow, white and yellows. You're looking at black knight. You're looking at the most orangey red tangerines that are just super high quality. You're looking at Cypher. Cypher's in that category now. You're looking at potentially more rare genetics to work with, like marble eye, blue amber eye. These are the type of projects that you eventually scale up to. So leopard geckos is kind of like a pyramid system. At the very bottom, most people get in at snows and blizzards and Murphy's Patternless. In the middle is like tangerines and albinos at the bottom too. In the middle is like two combination traits of that, like albino snow, albino tangerine, and then at the top is the best of the best quality. It's like 3, 4, 5 genetics, but also the most high quality and saturated colors of animals is in that high tier as well. You know, because now you have a little bit of money, you have a little bit of experience, you know how things work, and I hope that explanation makes sense for you. Let's see if I can move this with my nose while I'm washing my hands. Yes, I can. I love leopard geckos. If you're asking me, I love leopard geckos. Sorry, I was typing fast because it freaked out, but there's all sorts of bad reasons to not feed wild ever or buy your leopard geckos. I just had a guy from Pakistan sent me a video. He's like, "You want wild leopard geckos?" I saved the video because I think it's so cool to see wild leopard geckos in their natural habitat from like Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. We don't have too many of those videos. So anyway, in case anybody tries to reach out to you, that is completely illegal. You will go to jail and you will get an extreme amount of fines in a situation, in a smuggling situation. So don't ever allow somebody to help you smuggle animals into the United States. And sometimes they prey on you unknowingly, you know? They know that you might not know that it's illegal. So they try to dance around the topic and make you think that it's okay. Guys, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Ask Denise, ask myself if you ever get caught up in a situation like that. But you do not want to become known as a smuggler to the U.S. government because you will go to jail. And a matter of fact, it happened to a guy in Florida, Underground Reptiles. The guy has a big following on YouTube. He was a Tegu breeder, and in his early days, he did some smuggling activity. He made a video on this and dropped it on his YouTube. That's how I know. So I know it's okay to talk about it. But because of that smuggling incident that he had, he wound up doing a year in jail for smuggling some animals, which he says was supposed to be a legal process, but the guys in Africa that he was getting animals from, like, snuck some animals into the package. Now, did he know that they were sneaking those animals in? He didn't admit to that, but you know what I mean? We could probably infer that maybe he knew those animals were making it in because the animals were kind of like hidden in the cargo. But what if they weren't? Think about how risky it is to be an animal importer exporter. If the guys that you're getting animals from send you animals that are illegal, you could potentially get caught up in a smuggling ring and go to jail. So although I want to import and export, that just made me think twice right now about that. Okay, I had to get some water. I'm looking at my unsuccessful mealworm colony here, which I started. We'll see. We'll see if that pans out to be anything. So I have been thinking about leopard gecko breeding. The most important thing that you want to know for leopard gecko breeding is to be careful about females crashing. So like if you breed females too small or too early, hi honey, the cat's back. If you breed, you know, sometimes girls will go off of food when they're breeding. So I mean, there's so much to be aware of when it comes to breeding, but the number one thing I would have to say, and somebody else chime in if they think it's something else, but the number one thing that I would say is you want to watch out for crashing females that are not eating, laying eggs, getting skinnier, getting egg bound. All of that can happen and cause for death in your animals. Now, there's really not much you could do for egg bound. You could take it to the vet and they could stick a needle in her gut and try to pull out the liquid in the egg so that she could pass those eggs. However, that's called aspiration. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, because I've never done it, but I was researching into it and I was talking to my vet, my reptile vet expert about it. She said that that doesn't always work because for that to work, the eggs in the female can't have anything solid in them. It has to be at the beginning stages of fertilization when the eggs have still a lot of liquid in the eggs. You know, so I just let my egg-bound girls go. Eventually they lay or reabsorb or whatever the case is, you know. I don't ever bring them to the vet, you know. And I've never really had any big situations with that. So if you can't get mealworms but you have crickets, you can never want a leopard geckos. Love them. They do love crickets. Do you feed cave crickets to a leopard gecko? I don't know what a cave cricket is, but maybe, I'm not sure what area you live in, Harris, but the only thing you need to, leopard geckos will eat any insect. The thing that you really need to worry about is insecticides. So if you live in the United States, most places, look how many people we got chiming in now. That might have to do with some of the followers that we had coming over from last night's podcast on Trap Talk with MJ, but the cat's trying to hunt some flies over here. But if you have, what was I saying? If you live in America, more than likely you're going to have insecticides and chemicals in your, not necessarily your sprinkler systems, but like commercial areas, anywhere where there's water and irrigation and pests often get sprayed in America for scorpions, tarantulas, bugs, it gets sprayed for all that kind of stuff. So if you are hunting crickets outside and then feeding it to your animals, it might have some of that insecticide and poison in it. Now, will that hurt your animal? I don't know. I've known tons of people to go out back, catch some crickets, and feed it to their gecko, and nothing has ever happened to their gecko. But is it a little bit more risky? Sure. So just be aware of that. You know what I mean? Henry Hicks. So the Black Knight cipher is on John's website, which is geckoboa.com. It's not a cipher. It's a het cipher. And it's not black because it's a Black Knight cross. So that's what I'm saying is he's not even at the point where he's selling visual Black Knights that are super, super dark that are het for cipher. He has to get to that point first. And then he has to get to the point where he has visual Black Knights that are also visual cipher that are good quality Black Knight. That's going to take 5 to 6 years, I think, for him to really get to the point where he's releasing those. He might get there sooner than that, but it's going to take a while. You know what I mean? Maybe 4 years he'll be there, you know? I do think of African fat tail breeding. I was recently researching it. Steve Sykes from Geckos Etc. has like some ghost amelanistic Zulus and whiteout Zulus. They're beautiful. But the problem, and you guys fill me in if you have experience with this, the problem in me researching African fat tail geckos, they take longer to grow to become breeders. So it takes 2 years for them to become a breeder instead of the traditional 1 year for a leopard gecko to become a breeder. They have less babies, which is okay. But the big thing for me is the babies will not eat mealworms. You know, the majority of African fat tails need to be fed on crickets. And as of right now, I don't work with crickets. I don't like working with crickets. So if I worked with African fat tails, which I might because I do like them, I would have to get a large cricket bin in my leopard gecko room, which is okay. I could order crickets in. That's okay. But the problem with crickets is they would escape from the cages that I have here. Now, maybe not. They might not escape from these cages that I have here. So I think I could work with African fat tails, and I think I will work with African fat tails. But you guys let me know. Do they take longer to grow up? Are they more picky, so they only eat crickets? And do they have less babies than leopard geckos, which is okay. But also another thing I heard is the females crash more. And so you need to like tongue feed them dubia roaches and stuff during breeding season. And I just don't have the time to be tongue feeding animals. Maybe if I only have a couple African fat tails, but if I breed African fat tails and I have like 50 of them, I don't got the time to tongue feed 50 African fat tails. You know what I mean? Maybe I could pay somebody to do that. I don't know. But just bred my 92-gram girl to my big black knight boy. Woohoo! Giant black knights. You talked about cooking for yourself. Check out Meat Church Seasoning. It's the best. I almost bought a trio last year of lavas. Yeah, Denise, we'll have to talk. Both of us are interested in that project. I know True Exotics and True Collectible, the person that had the pin that we did the giveaway for, he bought lavas. So if you go over to his Instagram, it's like true.exotics or true.collectibles is his other business. You can see pictures of his lavas that he bought and his Mandarin Black Knights that he bought from the lady up in Canada. They don't look as good in his photos as the lady in Canada's photos, but sometimes geckos look worse in photos and sometimes they look better in photos. So I don't know which one is which until you actually see the animal in person. You know what I mean? Jennifer says, mine don't look exactly like the photos you have posted, but they are just as beautiful. Well, that's great. And I would love feedback because what I've been trying to do with my photos for the leopard geckos is take pictures outside in what's called soft lighting. Because if you were to take a picture in harsh lighting, like do you guys see the lighting that's on my face right now? That's called harsh lighting. That's directly under light. It washes out the color of the animal. You can't really tell the color of the animal. But if you take a picture in soft lighting, you can get a little bit more color accurate of a photo. And so that's where I've been taking my pictures. I have a little setup that I go to outside, and I've been hoping that that is more of a true representation of the color of the animal. Now, sometimes some of those pictures might wind up looking a little bit more colorful than what the animal might look like in real life if they're a little bit more shaded. You know, when a color is a little, when a photograph is a little darker, a little more shaded, sometimes that can happen. So I'm definitely open to feedback. If people are like, hey, your pictures look way better than the geckos that I'm getting, then let me know because I want to adjust things so that it's as picture accurate as possible. You know what I mean? So what's going on, JJC? Doesn't matter if you tweak a photo or not. It won't look exactly what you had in your hand. Yeah, it's very difficult when you're taking photos for sure, you know. Oh, we started to have some of Brooks. I'm going to call them, let me drink this, and we're going to call this segment of our live streams Brooks Beauties because Brooks started starring some of the geckos that we have here that she thinks are extra beautiful and that I could show off on live stream, you know. So Sweden is a bad market. There's none. Keeps leopard geckos, almost cresties, and hognoses. All right, let's take a look at Brooks Beauties. We got one of Brooks Beauties here. She starred this one. Okay, I could definitely see why she starred this one. You can see a lot of really interesting pattern on this animal and a lot of like really nice green coloration and nice orange banding. So this is definitely one of our holdback girls that's going to go into our tangerine, emerine, you know, Mandarin Inferno stuff. So just so you guys have an idea, this is our Mandarin Inferno project. So you always hear me talking about Mandarin Inferno projects. This is like a generation 1 cross between our Mandarin and Inferno projects. We have some generation 2s. Not all the time is a generation 2 better than generation 1? Sometimes generation 1s are better than some generation 2s. It's all about variance. You know, when it comes to breeding, it's all about variance. And maybe Denise could speak to this more in the chat about like dogs. Maybe there's a lot of variance with dogs, but with reptiles, there's definitely a lot of variance between the size of the animal, the color of the animal, the pattern of the animal, all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So this is one of our holdbacks. It's one of Brooks' beauties. How does that sound? Do you like the name of that segment, Brooks Beauties? My cat just hijacked my seat. Oh, now she's going up to the gecko table. She wants to, at least. All right, let me see if I can find another Brooks Beauties. Oh, here's another one of Brooks Beauties. It's a Black Knight outcross. So I'm guessing it's going to be pretty dark. Oh, this one has a really interesting tail. That's why she starred this one. Check this out. Check this out, guys. This is pretty interesting. Look at the tail on this Black Knight. It's got like a really interesting pattern on the tail that you don't normally see. Normally with Black Knights, the tail is going to be like all black, but in this case, this particular Black Knight, let me see if I can get a good shot of it. This particular Black Knight has like some striping going down the tail. So this could wind up leading to a project where we have an all black gecko with an all white tail. How cool would that be? You know, normally the Black Knights always have like an all black tail, but this animal is fractured. If you look at the pattern on this animal, let's see, if you look at let me see if the lighting is a little better up here or not. If you look at the pattern of this animal, it's very fractured looking, which is very interesting. You know, typically you go for an all black animal, but if you could get an animal that has fractured patterning, like what's going on the tail right here, I think that is just as unique and interesting. Check that out. Very fractured, very rare. You'll see when I show more Black Knights, normally they don't have all of that white on the tail. Look at that white. That is ridiculously crazy. Imagine we get an all black gecko with an all white tail. We might be able to selectively breed for that. So thank you, Brooke. All right, I don't know if Brooke starred any more beauties. I'll take a quick look. Hi, baby. Want to say hi to everyone? Okay. Okay, I think that's it for this week. I think those were the two exceptional ones that she saw this week while she was cleaning and made a note of those. So we'll start to call that segment Brooke's Beauties. And we'll show them off every week after she's done, you know, starring off her beauties. You guys can remind me to show off Brooke's Beauties for the week. I just went to an expo this weekend. Seemed to be a lot of cresties there. Yeah, you know, leopard geckos were super popular, you know, like back in Denise's day, late to mid, early 2000s. And then they kind of took the back seat. But we're bringing leopard geckos back, you know? MLGA. Make leopard geckos great again. Well, okay, guys. I'm not a very political person. I don't care one way or the other. But I do like puns, and I like memes, and I like fun thoughts. So, you know, the whole Make America Great Again thing, the MAGA, like making MAGA hats and MAGA shirts. Do you guys want us to make MLGA shirts. Make leopard geckos great again. Shirts and paraphernalia and all that kind of stuff. So we had our last clutch of geckos. Compound. We had our last clutch of geckos hatch January 28th. One of the two only lived 4 days. Okay, that can happen. But upon hatch, its color was paler, okay, than the other ones. Yeah, pale color almost all the time indicates that there was something wrong with the baby. I don't know what that is exactly medically. I've heard some people suggest that it's like, I think they said it's a vitamin A deficiency, something going on with the blood work of the animal. The animal should not be pale. If the animal is pale, it's either an extremely crazy rare mutation or it's oftentimes health issues with the animal. It didn't fully develop. It didn't develop correctly. It's got weak genetics, and most of those animals don't make it very long. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately for the guys in the UK and Sweden and stuff, there's not a huge market for it over there. So not a lot of those guys do it full time compared to in America. But some of those guys like Jay from Echo Geckos, they make a decent amount of money selling to Americans. You know what I mean? Um, there's an all white gecko, like no color, just pure white at my pet store labeled Fancy Baby Leopard Gecko. Yeah, that would be a Diablo Blanco, which would be Blizzard and albino. Raptors are cool. Jonathan likes Raptors. Redline? Yeah, Redline. It's our shipping sponsor. Actually, so do you have any Black Knights for sale / snow? If you go to our website, which is in the community tab, you could go to our MorphMarket. I just showed pictures. I just added a new Black Knight. We got another Black Knight on there. We got Black Knight Afghanicuses on there, which are the first in the world that I've ever seen anybody produce. So we got a bunch of Black Knight stuff, some lower expression Black Knights that are a little cheaper, higher expression Black Knights that are more expensive. And then I got more Black Knights that I'll be updating soon. But for now, that's what's on the website for now. Feel free to always reach out to me too through Instagram or text message or Facebook Messenger if you want to know what's available. But keep up with our MorphMarket. Guys, you can follow people on MorphMarket now. I don't know if you know this, but you can follow people on MorphMarket in the same way that you follow people on Instagram. And when they upload new animals to their MorphMarket, you will be the first to get notified about that, you know? But yeah, head over to our MorphMarket. The link is in a post that we just made. It's also on our Facebook page. It's also on our Instagram page, and you can find all of that there. I have the 5 from you: Max Snow, Tremper, Blood, Halloween, Eclipse. Jail time. Wow, I must be behind. If we're talking, if I'm just catching up to jail questions. Many went down for illegal stuff in the 90s. Yeah, Denise was there. She knows all the dirt. What's going on? Sorry, we can't see who the Facebook users are. As you can see, it doesn't show your name. But if you log out of Facebook and log into our stream on YouTube, we'll be able to see your name and all that kind of stuff, you know? Effie, what are you doing, girl? Get her over here. Sniffing out the new geckos, the new gecko rack. Man, she just can't help herself. I have pictures on my Instagram. She actually squeezed herself into the racking system of an empty shelf of our leopard gecko rack, you know? I got mixed up in dates here. Hold on. I mean, messages. It did that thing where it jumps everything all the way back to the top. I'm just going to start here. If I missed your question, then I'm sorry. Let me see. I don't breed my own insects. I get them from rainbow mealworms. There is a chance that a leopard gecko will reabsorb after she gets egg bound. Her body can soften those eggs and she'll eventually plop them out. My very first girl that I ever witnessed becoming egg bound, she plopped out an egg that was like this big 5 months later. It was gigantic. It was like a 3-inch soft egg, and she popped it out 5 months. She was egg bound and eventually popped that sucker out. So if the eggs are not fully developed, sometimes the girls will literally just reabsorb them into her body, and it won't be ever a big deal. I would pair Inferno to other tangerines. What do you think is the best beginner gecko but likes to be handled? If you're talking about leopard gecko morphs, they're all pretty much the same. You could just try to find one from a breeder and ask the breeder to find you one that's more calm. Some geckos are more calm than other geckos, just like people, right? Some people are more aggressive than other people. Everyone's got a different personality, different experience, different background, and that's the same with leopard geckos. So it's more about personality and having the breeder find you a gecko that is calm. We have lots of calm geckos here. If you want a gecko, hit me up on Instagram or text me or message me on Facebook. I can test out the personality for you of a gecko and send you a gecko that's calm. Has anybody done African fat tail leopard gecko? I have not known anybody to be successful with that. I would imagine some people have tried. I'm a big hybrid guy. I would love to see if that is possible one day. That's a good tip. Whiteout to whiteout will produce some dead babies. I'm sure it's like the super thing. So 25% of the offspring will be dead or whatever. Fat tails have 3 eggs per clutch. They do have 3 eggs per clutch, or they can. You know what I mean? Because I thought it's just 2 eggs per clutch. But if somebody has repetitive clutches of 3 eggs per clutch, like at the same time, that would be intense. I thought it was just 2 eggs per clutch. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys let me know. But I do like African fat tails. I really think they got some cool looks to them. It's just, to me, not as easy as a leopard gecko, you know? But we are reptile lovers, so. How can I buy a tangerine from you? How much would they be? If you're talking about me, you can go to my MorphMarket. It's on the community post page that is here on our YouTube channel. I gave a link to our MorphMarket. You could message me directly on Instagram or Messenger. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to start putting my phone number in the live stream so that people can know my phone number, because I'm always having issues with my phone number, right, guys? Like I never have my phone number capability, you know? Hi, honey. Let's see. I'm actually going to. So anyway, a lot of people are always asking me for my phone number. Let me see if I can. Oh, here we go. Check this out, guys. Oops. Watch this. I'm putting my all right. Let's see if that updates. Let's show that. All right, guys. So now nobody will have to type my phone number to the chat, because there's my phone number, Frank's cell, 480-299-7657. So if you want a gecko, that's the fastest way to reach me, and I can then send you over to our MorphMarket. And once you're on our MorphMarket, you can see all the geckos that we have for sale. Sometimes I have geckos that are not posted on MorphMarket. I have geckos that I can show you and send pictures of to you. So that's another way. Hey, Frank, I just inquired about the darkest Black Knight. That would be awesome. That's like the darkest and biggest Black Knight that I've seen on MorphMarket for a while. Some of them are like more like smaller and dark, but usually when they're smaller and dark, they could lose their color. But this gecko's already 31 grams, so I mean, she's pretty grown, and she's also very, very dark. Like almost can't really see through her dark. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'll check out that message from you after the stream. Lucas, please don't work with Lemon Frost, JJ. Yeah, I mean, the thing with Lemon Frost is it's such a slippery slope because there's so much negative attention around it, and it can really kind of put a damper on your image, as you guys seen us with the challenges. Now, here's the thing. If you have a big following and a big reach, you can kind of overpower some of the negativity that people are talking about or saying. But if you're like a smaller, newer breeder, you might just get caught, like swept out with the tide, because you're an easier target in a way. Now, either way, whether you're a big breeder or small breeder, you know, you're an easy target because there's so much like exaggeration and there's just so much negativity caught up in that. So it's just something that somebody needs to think about, you know, before they want to publicly brand themselves as somebody who does that, you know. Now me, I like to just brand myself openly and talk about things openly and explain to people what's going on. But that approach might not work for everybody. So, I mean, it's worth considering to be cautious about, you know. I mean, do what you want to do. Everyone has a right to do what they want to do, and that's perfectly fine. But there are repercussions for every decision we make, and we just got to be okay to live with those repercussions, or do things to prevent those repercussions from happening. You know what I mean? I want to know more about Red Devil. We did a video on Red Devil. I think the breeders in China. I heard that when the Red Devils got imported to the United States, they were the same as what we already have going on here. So Red Devil is Bell Albino and Tangerine. I also heard from a European breeder, and maybe Denise can speak to this, but when I made my video on Red Devil from the guy in China, SFF Gecko, I thought was the creator of Red Devil. There was a guy in Europe that messaged me and said, hey, I created the Red Devil before the guy in China. And I reached back out to him and said, hey, would you like to talk about this on a live stream? I'd love to question you further. And I haven't heard back from him. So we'll see. Jen said, I wasn't disappointed at all. I am just saying you can't exactly go by photos, in my opinion. Yeah, they're super difficult. Yeah, to Eclipse's point, we have like over 40 animals for sale right now on MorphMarket, you know. I got a citrus band Chinese cave gecko. I have never worked with Chinese cave geckos, but they've always caught my eye. They are such a beautiful gecko. The problem for me is I like a little bit more of a bigger animal to handle. And I feel like a Chinese cave gecko is like just really, really small, maybe a little flighty. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm just saying for me, what looks similar to a cave gecko is like the Black Knight, except cave geckos have like orange and black and like on and off patterning and like patching black. So they look really, really cool. But maybe with like that Black Knight that I just showed that has the weird patching coloration, maybe we could get that to look something more like a cave gecko. Everybody always thinks Black Knights are cave geckos when I bring them to a show, you know, especially because most of the time I'm bringing them at like 20 to 25 grams. But now, if these Black Knights don't sell, they'll be at the show and they'll be like, you know, 30 to 40 plus grams. And so, how's the leopard gecko market for you right now compared to when you started? You know, that's a great question. The funny thing is, in 2018, I produced my first like 5 geckos, and I sold them within 3 days on MorphMarket at about $75 to $125 each. 5 geckos sold in like 3 or 4 days. Boom, just like that. That was like my year 1 of breeding. So you know what I told myself is, I said, wow, leopard geckos sell really fast at this price point. I'm going to produce a bunch of them, like what Brian Barczyk does, just produce a bunch of animals at a low price point, and that will be a nice little income for me on my lower end sales. And then I'll work higher end projects in the background as well. The problem is, in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, leopard geckos became extremely affluent. I don't know if I'm using this word right. I used it on a podcast the other day. Extremely bountiful. There became so many of them available that those geckos no longer are easy to sell. Even at, I was testing out the market last year. I had over 100 animals on MorphMarket last year, or even the year before that, I think. And I was selling them at cheap prices. I was selling them between $60 to $200. And on the $200 end, those were like really nice tangerines, you know? And I got very, very few sales from that. And so my strategy this year is not to lower my price into oblivion. I might try that once again, but my strategy is to network and connect with people, build up a clientele, establish myself on social media, so that when somebody is considering a $50 gecko on MorphMarket or a $100 gecko from me, that's the same gecko. I want my customer service, my attention to detail, my value that I bring to somebody in phone conversations, video content. I want all of that to be worth that extra $50, that the person would pay more money to me for the same gecko because they're getting a much better experience with me. And you know what? People are willing to do that. These are pets we're talking about. You know, we don't need to sell them at $40 a piece. I mean, you can sell them at $40 a piece if you want, but it's two different strategies. Either you could play the low game and just keep going lower and lower and lower, or you could play the quality service game. Quality animals, quality service, and still for a quality price. And that's the game that I'm playing, is quality animals with quality service for a quality price. It might not be the cheapest price, but you're going to get a quality animal with quality service, and it's going to be a decent price. And I also offer people a lot of deals. If they're willing to buy 2 geckos from me, oftentimes it's 10% off. 3 geckos, 15% off. Now, I'm kind of second thinking this. Everyone who's bought from me, Jennifer and whatnot, let me know if that was like the deciding factor for you. But when you take, let's use Jennifer for example. I hope you're cool with this, Jennifer. Jennifer bought 5 geckos from us. I won't discuss prices, but she bought 5 geckos from us at 25% off for all 5 of those geckos. So if you do that with every single customer and you lose 25% off of every single gecko that is at retail price, you're going to be losing a decent amount of money from sales. And if leopard gecko sales are difficult because they don't fly off the shelves because of how many are out there, every dollar counts. And so 25% off for 5 geckos, I don't know if that was what persuaded Jennifer to secure the deal with me, or if it was just icing on the cake. I don't know if I only offered her 15% off of those 5 geckos, would she still have taken the deal? I would be interested to know, Jennifer. The difference there could be $100. You know what I mean? The difference between 15% and 25% could be $100. Would Jennifer have paid $100 more, or would she have just not purchased another gecko, and bought less geckos from me? So I'm open to hearing people's thoughts, but normally what I've been doing up to this point is 10% off 2 geckos, 15% off 3 geckos, 20% off 4 geckos, but that's a little bit steep. So when I was buying geckos from Geckos Etc., he only gave me a discount of 15%, when I hit 10 geckos. You know what I mean? And I think that that's like a strategic, I think that's a worthy strategy of his, because you don't want to sell your geckos too cheap, because then you have to sell more of them to make up the difference of the cost. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm figuring this thing out along the way, but I'm a haggler. I'm a deal person. I haggle myself. So like, I get it. If you're buying more than one animal, I like to try to make people happy and work within reason, you know what I mean, of people's price range and all that kind of stuff. And if you throw an offer at me that's within the range of what I can accept, I'll tell you, yeah, I could accept it, or no, I can't accept it, or I'll counter back at something in between. You know what I mean? But I do price my geckos at a price that I already feel like is fair for the quality of the animal, the amount of time and service that I'm going to be giving my customers for the entire life that I know them, and the advice I'll give them, the time I'll spend with them. I consider all of that into what you're buying into when you get a gecko with us. So if you can excel in customer service and networking and marketing your animals, that I think would be the better route to go than just trying to sell them for $20 on MorphMarket. Because number one, there's a lot of people that are trying to do that right now. And number two, so it's difficult to stand out even that way. And number two, it doesn't really solidify, it doesn't really speak too much value. Like if you're willing to sell a gecko for $20, it doesn't really speak to the customer that, hey, this animal's worth it's worth investing in. It kind of just makes it seem like a disposable animal, which, I mean, you gotta get your hustle. You gotta sell however you gotta sell. But I think you understand the point that I'm trying to make is, I recently stopped myself from selling my animals for too low of a cost, because I realized, number one, it doesn't work, guys. From my experience, it doesn't work. Trying to lowball yourself and lowball the market, not in every situation, but in some situations I'm sure it works. But for the most part, it's not a magnificent amount of customers that are flocking to you, throwing money at you because you dropped the prices. So the question I began to ask myself is it really worth it? And would I rather just hold on to the gecko for a longer period of time and try to sell it at a show, sell it at in different networking ways, do a raffle, not a raffle because you can't do that, do a giveaway and all that kind of stuff, like, you know what I mean? So I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. So ZBE, if you're talking to me, yes, we have geckos for sale. You could text me at 480-299-7657. My phone number is in the little ticker right here underneath our screen. You could also look at any of my social media pages. I just started posting links to my MorphMarket. MorphMarket is where I have all my geckos for sale right now. But I am soon going to be uploading my website with gecko sales. And here's a little tip for you guys. This is a free tip that I actually didn't want to tell a lot of people, but is worth considering. So you guys who are here and you guys who follow us, here's a tip that's beneficial that I think might help with sales in the long run, is paying for advertisement. So on Instagram and on Facebook, you can actually pay to advertise your posts and advertise your geckos. This is a very popular way that people in the business world market whatever they're selling and market their business. So whenever you're on Shark Tank, like whenever you're watching Shark Tank, they talk about something called customer acquisition cost. And I always wondered, how do you know the customer acquisition cost? And what the customer acquisition cost for any business, including a reptile business, the customer acquisition cost is how much money does it take you to spend to make a certain amount of money back. For example, if I spend $1,000 in Facebook and Instagram ads this year, how much money did that make me back? And so I think it's a little bit tough to tell if the customers are coming from social media, whether they saw the ads or didn't see the ads. But oh, I need to plug my phone in a second. Actually, I'm gonna end the stream here in a second. It's a little difficult to tell exactly where your customers are coming from, but in general, quote unquote, in general, the way you calculate your customer acquisition cost is you take the amount of money that you poured into marketing and you divide that by the amount of sales that you have. And that will tell you how much it cost you to gather a customer. That number is very important because you want to find marketing strategies that number is very low. You want that number to be low, as close to zero as possible. If you could acquire customers for $0, that's the number one way to do it. And that's where social media comes in. Social media is free. It only costs you your time. And that's a way to acquire customers. Look at all the people that asked us in this chat about customers today. You know, thank you guys for coming to this chat. Thank you for asking me about geckos. There was 2 or 3 people that asked me about geckos. What was the cost of a potential customer? An hour live stream? You know what I mean? That is customer acquisition cost. So once you get good at making websites and something called SEO, search engine optimization, you could then pay for advertisement on Google, and that will drive people to your page. All of that goes into marketing costs, which is customer acquisition costs. So I'm going to try to make it through these questions real quick and then end it because my phone is dying. Hey, I send you a message on the phone number. I will get back to you. MLGA. Oh, Yvette, I love that. Hashtag MLGA, hashtag Team Leopard Gecko. So if you guys missed our last live stream, anytime you want to post a picture that you want our family, I consider this our gecko family. All 34 people that are here, all the people that watch us back in the future, which is hundreds of people and thousands of people, and then all the people that were here and then left. All of you guys are our gecko family. We're all gecko family. Let's start using hashtag Team Leopard Gecko on Facebook and on Instagram to market and even on YouTube, to market our content so that our whole family's content can be marketed under hashtag Team Leopard Gecko, and we could keep up to date with what each other's doing. We could follow other people that are in this family of ours. And then also, if you want for fun, you could also brand hashtag MLGA. Make leopard geckos great again. We want to bring back the glory of leopard geckos. It's already beginning to peak again. It's like the sun coming over the horizon. I think leopard geckos is only going to go up. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to stop promoting them. You know what I mean? As long as I'm here, living, breathing, and physically capable, even if I wasn't physically capable, I would hire people to be physically capable to market leopard geckos because that's how much I love leopard geckos. So, hashtag MLGA, make leopard geckos great again. Hashtag Team Leopard Gecko. Let's all start hashtagging that on our Instagrams and Facebooks and YouTube and TikTok channels, and we'll make those hashtags just explode. Eclipse, I watched some of your videos today. I remember the Black Knight snow babies blocked out with some white patterning. Yeah, I'm not sure if that one is snow. It does come from snow lineage, but all of the white is like on the tail of that gecko, and it could be snow for sure, so snow could definitely be at play. But we'll see. I'm probably going to keep that one and breed it back to the Black Knight line and see what happens. So, Denise Ray, hashtag Team Leopard Gecko. Yeah, guys, I can make so many different type of shirts like this. And if you guys have never bought a shirt from us, it's the most comfortable material. Brooke keeps coming back for more. Brooke works for us, and she's already I think she has 5 shirts of ours, and she offered to pay me for them. Now, because she works for us, I gave them to her for free. But that's how good they are. That's how comfortable these shirts are, is that Brooke was willing to pay for more of them to get them because of how comfortable they are. This type of material, very soft, very flexible. It's a spandex polyester cotton blend, so it breathes. If you're the type of person like me that sweats a lot. It breathes to evaporate the sweat and all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to worry about BO as much. It's super comfortable to sleep in. It evaporates your sweat, so you don't have to worry about sweat stains showing in public. I'll be honest with you guys. I'll let you in on a little insecurity secret of mine. I was always kind of like really nervous in public and stuff like that, and I would sweat a lot, and it would show on my pure cotton shirts. Pure cotton absorbs water, and it shows water for long periods of time. So whenever I was doing athletics or going to school or presenting a project that I was really nervous about, you could see my sweat stains through my clothes, and that's always bothered me. I've always been super insecure about that. But with these shirts, I don't have to worry about it at all. Like maybe a little bit under the armpit, but you know what I mean? If this was a regular cotton shirt, like the armpit sweat would be like coming up my sides almost. But with this shirt, it's all contained underneath the armpit. So unless I like lift my arms to the sky, you won't really see the sweat stains. And that's huge for me. It makes me feel so much more secure to be in public with a shirt that's not constantly showing my sweat marks and stuff. They're great shirts, guys. And I just been slacking on the marketing for them, but we have them in a lot of different colors, and I can even create a custom color for you if you were willing to pay a little bit more. So we bulk order these in black, forest green, cardinal red, pink, baby blue, bubblegum pink, raspberry. We bulk order them in these colors, and I'll start putting them up on the website soon, but just reach out to me at my phone number below if you want one. I can also custom make you any color you want, and I could change the logo to be a different color. That's going to be like a holiday special I do, like a Halloween holiday special might be like an orange logo with a black shirt, and then a Christmas special might be like a red logo with a green shirt. So I'm going to play around and do all of those things, but if you want a custom color, custom design, I can absolutely do that for you as well. So large, Nick asked, what size mealworms do you get from Rainbow? Large mealworms for every gecko that is over 3 weeks old. Every gecko that is past like 3 weeks old and you know, growing normal, I give them large mealworms. For the first couple feedings of a leopard gecko, like the first 2 to 3 weeks, I give them medium mealworms, just because I think it's a little more handleable for them, and I worry about that less with them. You know what I mean? Oh, Lonnie, good to see you. Lonnie joined. So Lonnie, Denise is in here. Lonnie might be reaching out to you, Denise, because Lonnie is also in the dog breeding world and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So, David, good to see you. That's okay that you're late. We talked about some cool topics if you want to, you know, rewind it back and watch. Could you breed a 40-gram female 3 months away from turning a year old? You could. I've bred 38 to 45-gram females. It's just a little bit more risky. You know, they're smaller girls. You just got to keep an eye on them. I've had 38-gram girls lay perfect years for me, and I've had 65-gram girls lay terrible years for me. So it's just about, you know, going back, you know, observing your animals. Jennifer says, I probably bought your Chillis gecko. Yes, she probably did. We sold her this pet Mandarin gecko that was just the calmest animal ever. You know what I mean? Hey, Frank, I just acquired about the Darkest Black Night. All right, what do you... I have an adult female super snow. What should you pair her with? I would pair her with a male snow, just a single copy snow, so you can make more snows and super snows. What age do you retire females from breeding? I haven't gotten to this point yet. I think Denise said she retires her females after like 4 to 5 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, Denise. I am going to let my females produce, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years. I'm going to test it out and see what works. I don't know. I got a lot of space, so space is not an issue for me. So if I have an old girl that is only producing 2 eggs for me a year, if she's a black knight, I want those eggs, right? 2 black knights is better than no black knights. So if that makes sense, I breed the girls until they can't breed anymore. I got like a 12-year-old female. I got like a 12-year-old female that 2 years ago, when she was like 10 years old, she laid for me 4 eggs. And then the last 2 seasons, she reabsorbed. She would not lay any eggs for me the last 2 seasons. So now she's officially done since she's not laying anymore. So different people might have different ways of doing it, but I'm kind of more along the lines of once the female stops reproducing for you or is hard to get to reproduce, that's when I'll retire her. You know what I mean? That might sound cruel. I mean, I don't think it's cruel. I mean, these animals are meant to reproduce. Like, that's why we're breeders. This is why we do what we do. And you know, older animals can have babies in the same way that younger animals can have, especially reptiles. So I don't know if there's any data to suggest that it's more risky to breed an older female leopard gecko. I don't know. Maybe Denise has some input. I just don't think it's more risky to breed her. I just think that at some point she's going to stop being as fertile. You know, now for mammals, I think it does get more risky. I don't know. Maybe Denise knows. Like if a 50-year-old woman was to have a baby, is that safer or less safe than a 30-year-old woman having a baby? And is that safer or less safe than a 15-year-old girl having a baby? Like, I don't know the answers to these questions. I think it's more situational. A 50-year-old woman could have no problem with her pregnancy, and a 30-year-old woman could have extreme problems with her pregnancy. So in the world of biology and life, I think it's situational more than it is setting limits or setting what is it called? Parameters. I don't think you could just set a parameter and be like, every leopard gecko over 10 years is a bad breeder. I just don't think you can do that, you know? Hey, Frank, what size do you normally get from Rainbow? Yep, sorry, CJ, what an accomplishment. Yeah, we got some youngins in the chat in the group. I was surprised to see some lemons were being sold at the expo. Oh, yeah, maybe Denise. So Jennifer, I forget, Jennifer's in Florida. Denise, if you're still here, Denise messaged me and she was telling me she heard from her connection in Florida that the gourmet rodent, which is actually the guy who discovered the lemon frost gene and then sold the company to somebody else, I heard they were dumping all of their lemon frost at the show this Friday, which is interesting because you can't post lemon frost on MorphMarket anymore, and a lot of people just don't like to sell them or advertise them, you know, publicly. So it was really interesting to hear that this guy was just selling like 50 of them at a show. What did that look like, Jennifer? That must have been interesting to just see 50 lemon frost for sale. Were they young? Were they old? Did they have tumors? What did that whole process look like? Were they outcrossed? Were they inbred? Think I'm getting caught up here. Well, I will let you know, Yvette, because like I've said in some of my videos recently, I think I only sold like 3 lemon frost, maybe 4 max. It's been very, very few, and not for a lot of money either. You know, I just petted them out, so to speak, to some friends that either maybe want to do a little experimenting themselves or they just want to have one as a pet. The rest of them I'm keeping over here and just observing over the next 10 years. If I have any extra of those, I'm not really necessarily trying to profit a lot off of them. So I either might be selling them for just like really low pet prices or just an average price, you know, of the time and investment that I put into them over the years, because they are a beautiful animal and they do survive, guys. You know, contrary to what people say, if you have outcrossed lemon frost, they are most likely going to survive for a long time, more than an enigma. You know what I mean? So anyway, I shouldn't say more than an enigma, because again, it's situational. You could have a really bad lemon frost that dies early, or you could have a really good enigma that dies late. But what I'm saying is lemon frosts are not the demons that they're made out to be. They thrive, they survive. There's a paper in Poland that actually studied the lemon frost and said that they don't experience any pain in their tumors. Now, if their tumors become cancerous, it could be argued that they would experience pain, because at that point, It could cause heart attacks. It could cause blockages. It could cause all of that kind of stuff. But the tumors were only studied to be cancerous in super lemon frost geckos. So as long as you're not breeding lemon frost to lemon frost, as long as you're breeding lemon frost to animals that are not lemon frost and not creating supers, you're always just going to have the geckos that are just superficially have the tumors. And those have been proven through the Polish study to not be painful to the animals. You know, especially if you're outcrossing and those tumors are very, very small or very, very low expression. You know what I mean? So I think the project has just been demonized on such a level that is inaccurate and false. But what can you do? You know, you could just rely upon people like me to educate more accurately. But then I got to show that in my collection and document that and show people what's going on. You know what I mean? So they can see for themselves. And that's been one of my goals with the lemon frost that I'll do over time as well. But I'm sure we're going to have 60 to 80 of these things. One of my goals is to work with universities and cancer study laboratories with the outcrosses that are showing less expression so that they can study those and see why they're showing less expression. And that might be able to help the human fight for cancer. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm not trying to profit a lot off the project. If there's a way for me to get you an animal for cheap or something like that, Yvette, then I would. You know, or maybe you could talk to JJC because he's, you know, I'm sure he's breeding a couple of them now or something, or other people that might be breeding them. All the people that I know that are breeding them are like really low key with it. You know, they don't want their name out there publicly at all. So what should you pair with the Super Snow? Breed a Snow or breed a Black Knight to a Super Snow if you can. Yeah. I'm surprised. ACJ knows that at their young age. That's good. You could breed Bold or Jungle or Eclipse to Snow. If you want to make more Super Snows, which I think you do, everybody wants to make more Super Snows, right? Then you would want to breed a Snow to a Super Snow to create more Snows. Now, the opposite end, which I could help you with if you want, that I'm really passionate about is we have an Afghanicus snow project and we have a Fasciolatus snow project. These are wild type locality bloodlines that will only benefit you breeding into snow. The Afghanicus will make darker, more richly patterned snows, and the Fasciolatus will make more lavender color snows. So either project, you can't go wrong. I have an Afghanicus male for sale right now, and I have a Fasciolatus male for sale right now, both ready to breed. So if you want, give me a call, 480-299, or give me a text, and we'll get one of those into your hands, and you could breed that into snow, and you would have very rare animals, because not everybody is working those wild types into rare animals versus everybody and their brother is working Super Snow into their project. You know what I mean? So I like to try to find projects that are a little bit more rare, you know, a little bit more unique. And so that's what I'm doing with the Afghanicus snows and the Fasciolatus snows. You know what I mean? And I do have males that I could sell you right now that are ready to breed and up to size. And they're not ridiculously high priced. I think my Afghanicus male is, I think they're both 200 because they're ready to breed and obviously pure wild types. So they're unique in that sense. They're both 200. I'd have to double check the price, but if you could afford that, that would be a great project to get into as well. Morph calculators can definitely help with calculating stuff at first. Bam Bam, we'll get you a shirt when you're over here, brother. Yeah, so I sent Jennifer a shirt in her order, and I also sent her the pin because I never wound up getting in contact with Uncanny Handy. So maybe if Uncanny Handy comes back to me in the future, I'll give them a little like 10% discount on gecko purchase with me to make up for the pin. But I just couldn't find her, you know, who or him, whatever that account is. Yeah, let me know, Bam Bam. I can mail out the shirts to you, or you could come and pick up the shirts. For me to ship out a shirt, I think it's like $5 shipping. So each of our shirts are $20, and then it's $5 just, you know, shipping costs. I think it's just a one-time cost, unless you place 2 separate orders at 2 different times. We can do V-necks, but that would be a custom order. And I could even do women's shirts or children's shirts. If you want to do a woman or custom shirt, it might be like $30 to $35 for a shirt. But if you get one of our mass produced colors, I can sell those at $20 to you, plus $5 shipping. But if I have to custom order a shirt for you, I have to order that from the company, design the shirt, order it as a single unit, and then I should be able to have them ship it directly to you. So whatever that cost is, it might be like $35, $40. I would love to start doing custom orders for people. I think that's an exciting thing, So you guys could custom order a different color logo and a different color shirt, and I can show you the website I use, and you could look at all the colors that you have available. It's like 30 different colors. It's a ridiculous amount of colors that you could choose from and get creative with it. You could do a yellow logo with a black shirt. You could do a black logo with a white shirt. You could do any combo you could think of. And there's also stuff on the back. You could mix and match colors of the logo on the back. So there's all that. You could mix and match colors of the logo on the back and the logo on the front. But the more colors you add to a different scheme, the more expensive it gets. But hey, if you want a $50 custom shirt of different colors and things all over the place, you could do it. You know what I mean? Only real men sweat. Thanks for being real. Oh, that's awesome that you got in touch with Denise. Is there a certain age you have to breed a female by? I think as long as she's ovulating, you could try to breed her. As long as she's ovulating, you could try. If she's old, you might not get fertile eggs, but if she's young, it's usually pretty good. If you read Ron Tremper's book, he actually has a fertility chart. Look it up on Ron Tremper's book. I forget which book it is, but if you were to do a Google search for it, you could probably find it. If you message me privately at that phone number below on my cell, I think I have a picture that my cousin sent me, because my cousin has his book. I think I have a picture that my cousin sent me of the fertility chart that Ron Tremper has in his book. And it's like the best fertile years of a female are like years 2 through 6. And then years 7 through 14, he recorded as being less fertile years progressively, little by little by little. So there was one breeder selling them there. I went on Saturday to Repticon. What kind of substrate should I use for my leopard gecko? Newspaper's cool. Paper towel is okay, but I prefer newspaper because paper towel moves all over the place. Newspaper is awesome. If you're looking for a bioactive substrate, then I would go with like 75% organic soil and 25% washed play sand. You could get both of those from Home Depot. Just make sure the soil doesn't have fertilizer or chemicals in it. Make sure it's organic. You shouldn't be breeding lemon frost, period. I mean, I think that's arguable. I definitely understand why people would not want to breed lemon frost. I think it can be selectively bred. Like I wouldn't say everybody and anybody should just breed them or mass produce them, because it's going to be hard to market them. It's going to be hard to sell them. It's going to bring a lot of negativity upon yourself. But here's the big but. Zebrafish, laboratory mice, humans, and now leopard geckos have all been identified to have this one spot in their DNA that affects the reproduction of cells causing tumors. And I think that that's definitely worth studying, because the entire world wants to cure cancer, right? And if we just stopped doing it because we thought it shouldn't be tried or we thought it was impossible, humans would never get anything done. We would have never made it into space. We would have never made it to the moon. We would never make it to Mars, right? We have missions to Mars right now. And some people think that we shouldn't spend money on missions to Mars, and that's okay. That's your preference. That's your choice. But there are other people that are like, you know what? Let's spend money. Let's go to Mars and let's colonize Mars. So somebody's always going to fall on one side or the other. But I kind of fall more on the side of ethical experimentation, limited experimentation, responsible experimentation, doing it in a way to where it's causing as least issues with the animals as possible, if possible, which is what we have going on. We have outcross lemon frost that are, very minute expressions of the tumors. We have some of them that were like bred back into macularis to see if that made it worse, and that does make it worse. I can tell you right now, Afghanicus and macularis appear to have the worst expressions of leathery skin, smaller bodies, and tumor expression than fasciolatus and Turkmenicus. And out of all 4 of those subspecies, fasciolatus has the least amount of expression, the least amount of issues, and that is interesting research to study, because that could be applied to the human world of why this gecko is producing and having less issues. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's the same with Enigma. People experimented with Enigma, and some people are still experimenting with Enigma. You told Uncanny to step aside. Yeah, maybe she just, did. I have a Black Knight female, so I get that male Afghanicus. Then I can do the Black Knight. Yeah, did you want Bam Bam? If you want that Afghanicus male, let me know, because I have him right now, and he is going to be back up for sale soon. So if you want him, I won't even put him back up for sale. He'll just be for you. I'll just put him on hold for you. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's a pure Afghanicus male. We have 3 pure Afghanicus males, and he's the one that we're selling. You know what I mean? I have 2 other ones that are like backups, so to speak. You know what I mean? So, or two of the other ones that are my main breeders. This guy was a backup. This guy has also bred. He's a proven breeder. He's fairly young. I think he's only like 3-4 years old. So great live with the Golden Gecko earlier this week, Frank. Oh, so glad you were able to watch it, Texas. Can't wait to have you on. Yeah, I will definitely have Texas on. I think there's a lot more breeders that are trying to hit social media that we can all have a great time promoting each other, publicizing leopard geckos, collaborating in online presence. I think all of that is great. Texas Kid Reptiles does some of the best leopard gecko pictures I've ever seen in the market. So you could go ahead and check him out on Instagram. And of course, I think he has a Facebook as well at Texas Kid Reptiles. He took over for Cenozoic Reptiles, and they had great geckos. So it's just a great company with great geckos. So is there a way to tell how old a leopard gecko is? Unfortunately not. It's not like a tree that has rings. You could guess how old the leopard gecko is by the weight, kind of, the thickness, kind of, the size of it, but it's all a guess at some point. Oh, color. Leopard geckos get a little bit duller with color. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll definitely do like a round table with Bam Bam and Texas Kid and Denise and, maybe some others and stuff. I think that would be cool to look into round tables as well. Stuck shed on sperm plugs. Apparently it's common. Maybe. I've never had the issue, but I guess it could be, You just want to make sure your humid hut is decently humid and always moist in a way to give the geckos max humidity. Also, if the gecko does have stuck shed, soak it in warm or slightly below warm to your touch water for 10 to 15 minutes, and then grab a nice pair of tweezers and gently pull off that shed. That should take care of it. How much are the leopard geckos? If you're talking about my leopard geckos, you could send me a text below, 480-299-7657. My phone number is right here in the ticker flashing beneath, and I'll send you a link to our MorphMarket. Or you could just go to our MorphMarket, Geeky Gecko Creations, or go to our Instagram or Facebook pages, and I just put a link to the geckos that we have for sale. There's like 40 geckos that we have for sale on MorphMarket right now. Bam Bam, send me a text, bro, so I don't forget of the Afghanicus male. I am absolutely able to hold him till April for sure, So I'm all caught up with questions now. As you can see, my brain is getting tired, but I thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for joining this stream. I don't know if I'm going to do a stream this Friday. I've been trying to do a stream every Friday, but with our schedule and everything right now, sometimes I get a little bit busy and it's nice to have Friday off. However, if I'm able to do a stream on Friday, I will announce it. But if not, we will be back here Monday. I've been pretty committed on the Mondays, not missing any Mondays around this same time, like 2 hours prior to this time. We'll be back here Monday around 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, which is like 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time and 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's the time zones that we'll be doing the live in. Other than that, yeah, just keep an eye out for new additions to our MorphMarket page. We're starting to update our MorphMarket page every couple of weeks. You could go to MorphMarket and you could actually click follow us. And when you follow us on MorphMarket, it will show you new geckos that get added before anyone else sees them. If you're a follower, you'll get a notification that we just updated our MorphMarket. So I think that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. Have a Geeky Gecko great night. Keep an eye out for some new videos that I will be dropping new videos this week, and you will start to see some of those. So peace and love, guys. Have a Geeky Gecko great night, and I will see you in the next video.